Hello, everybody. It's me, Liz Marie, and I'm gonna start trying to upload videos again. And today, I'm going to start sharing all the books that I've read so far this year, starting with January and February, because time has slipped away from me, and it is now June. We're in the middle of June, and it's been like at least a month since I moved, almost a month since I moved into my new apartment. Finally have my own space again. So hopefully, maybe I can attempt to do all the video ideas that I just have sitting in my head because I like doing this for fun. It's very relaxing for me. But yeah, I'm gonna use my Goodreads. I'm gonna pull that sucker up. I've read like 70 something books this year so far because my goal was to read more, and I definitely can say that I have accomplished that for sure. Actually, let's see. How many books have I actually read this year? I set my goal to 60 on Goodreads. I am at 78 books, guys, out of 60, so I definitely met my goal way sooner. I think I can slow down reading, but I've just been consuming everything and exploring new genres. And yeah, let's get right into these books for January and February. Let's see. The first book that I read in January was It Ends With Us. I started with a Conley Hoover. It's the first one I've ever read from her, and I don't think I'll pick her up again. It's not because I hated the book. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. So, and it's about a girl named Lily. And there's like past and future kind of chapters, but yeah, it's about abuse. So I wouldn't categorize this as a romance. And I can see why people like Colleen Hoover's writing. It's very easy to read. I haven't read any of the other romances, so I don't know if they're better or worse. But I think her writing style, since the characters aren't very, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess unique. I don't know if that's what I mean to say, but like it's very easy for you to insert yourself into the story if you wanted to, or if you related. Like you can, because I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. 3 stars. This video I can already tell is going to be a mess. And also it's the second time of me sitting down trying to film it because I messed up the audio on the first one. So the second book I read this year is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Gave it 4 stars because I love Gothic and I love classics. I am a Gothic classic literature girly. That is what I've been reading. That and like nonfiction, like biography, memoirs, philosophy stuff. What else? Like gender study stuff. Just a bunch of nonfiction, or it's like classics. So this year I'm just a little all over the place, which you guys are gonna see. Trying to like put my feelers out, see what genres I really enjoy. This one is about a young governess who goes to watch over these young children. So it gets very creepy haunted house kind of thing. And if you like creepy children, you might like this. If you like Gothic, you probably will like it because it has all the Gothic things in there. All of it. I gave it 4 stars. And yeah, I feel like my energy is just off today, and I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, I gave it, oh no, the app crashed. Now I have to go back. I should learn this app better. I'm going back to the beginning, but I gave Turn of the Screw 4 stars. Creepy Children, Haunted House. I decided to do like thriller, mystery, horrors this year and fantasy. So that's a lot of what I've been reading. But next book is Final Girls by Riley Sager. 3 stars. Let me see. Which one is this? 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone, the only survivor of a horror movie. It's kind of like a slasher-esque kind of movie with like the trope of the final girl. So Quincy's the final girl, and she has like this long friendship with the cop who saved her that night. And then she meets these other 2 final girls and tries to have a connection kind of with them, if I'm remembering correctly. And then one of them dies. And then the 3rd girl shows up, and they're trying to figure out if like someone's after all of the final girls. And then there's just twists and turns after that. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Not my favorite. Not good or bad. 3 stars. And then I read The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I think this was, yep, also a 3-star. This one's like the title says. It's a support group full of final girls from different eras. Like I think one was like from the 80s, 90s and stuff. And they've all just experienced horrors in their life. And they're there to support each other, except at the beginning of the novel, they're not really, they're kind of over the support group. And then the main girl, whose name is, what is her name? Is it Lynette? I think it's Lynette. She kind of feels like she has like OCD, but she developed it as a survival tactic, like coping mechanism. Like she has to have things a specific way. Like she'll be on the subway and she's looking at who's on the subway, what they're wearing, their shoes. She has her back to the wall in any place that she goes to so she can have eye contact, the windows, doors, any entryway. She has like, in her own apartment building, she had like a cage and like a billion locks in between the door and stuff so like people can't get in. I don't know, it was crazy. But it felt more like an action-packed movie and not so much like a horror thriller kind of thing. Like there was a bomb in it. I don't know if that's a spoiler, not really, but like something explodes and I'm just like, this is just an action movie. I'm reading an action movie. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't good or bad, but yeah, 3 stars. And then I read the first You book by Carol Kepnes. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's better than the show, maybe, possibly. Because I really do enjoy the story of the show. I enjoy the show. It is very creepy to think about having a man stalking you the way Joe does, and then becoming obsessed with you, and then killing you. I don't know if that was a spoiler, but at this point, everyone should know what You is about. And if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm interested in reading more from the series. I actually have the physical book. I'm not going to pull it out. It's on this side. I bought the hardcover because I hate the stickers. I hate when they put like the Netflix sticker or like the word stickers or just any kind of sticker or badge on the front of the books. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It doesn't look good. It ruins the cover for me. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can... No, I'm going to have to put it back. I also have Turner the Square, I realize. Like I have an old copy of it. Somewhere over here, I think. What was I saying? You. Yeah, I bought the book on eBay, so I'm going to see if I can find the second book on eBay as well without the hardback, without the sticker on it. But yeah, You's about Joe. Joe becomes obsessed with a woman who walks into the bookstore he works at, and then it just gets very creepy after that. Like he goes crazy. I think he could very much use a slice of their pie. You know? The next book I read in January, I believe this is still January, right? Yes. Well, it's The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This one got 4 stars. This is one of my it's my favorite, I think. Is it my favorite? I think it's my favorite Riley Sager I've read so far. 15 years ago, summer camper Emma Davis watched sleepily as her 3 cabin mates snuck out of their cabin in the dead of night. The last she and anyone saw of them was Vivian closing the cabin door behind her, hushing Emma with a finger pressed to her lips. Then they never came back. Those 3 girls disappeared. She grows up. She becomes an artist. And then the woman who owns the camp that she went to asked her to come back to, teach art to the campers. And then, things start happening, and she starts to look back to the past to find out what happened to those 3 girls. And then I really like the ending of this one. Lots of thriller, mystery, twisty turns. I mean, she becomes kind of an unhinged, unreliable narrator, which I try to go into the books without trying to figure out every mystery and stuff, because I like the reveals. It makes it more fun. 4 stars for that one. Last Time I Lied. The next book I read was My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I'm sorry. But I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It's literally what the title says. This woman, you know, you think she'd have everything, but she just wants to stay in her house and sleep and do nothing. So this is literally just her year, her experience, just relaxing and doing nothing. Like, even when she went to her job, she worked at like an art gallery. She took naps in the closet, and then she eventually got fired. But you know, it didn't bother her too much. I can't remember if she had like money, family money that's keeping her afloat, but she just stayed in her apartment after that. And then she has like a really bad therapist. Like, I think the whole point was for her to be really bad. It was like very satirical in my opinion. And I love satire. She has like a horrible therapist just like subscribing her these pills to help her sleep. And then her best friend would come over and then complain about things and saying, why is she being like this? And then I'm not very good at explaining this stuff. Maybe I'll get better as I go on. But I gave it 4 stars. I actually really liked it. Some people might find it boring, but nothing really happens because it's literally just her wanting to do nothing. So let's see what the synopsis says. Blah, blah, blah. From one of the boldest, most celebrated new literary voices, a novel about a young woman's efforts to duck the ills of the world by embarking on an extended hibernation with the help of one of the worst psychiatrists in the annals of literature and the battery of medicines she prescribes. Our narrator should be happy, shouldn't she? She's young, thin, pretty, a recent Columbia graduate, works at an easy job at a hip art gallery, lives in an apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, paid for, like the rest of her needs, by her inheritance. There it is. She had an inheritance. But there's a dark and vacuous hole in her heart, and it isn't just the loss of her parents or the way her Wall Street boyfriend treats her or her sadomasochistic relationship with her best friend, Reba. It's the year 2000 in a city of glitter with wealth and possibility. What could be so terribly wrong? A lot, apparently. I honestly related to this character a lot, too, because I sometimes struggle with depression. And sometimes I just don't want to do anything, and I would really like to just sleep. So, very relatable. Next book is The Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, another Sager book. 3 stars, which I think is a pattern. I think I've only read 4 of his books, and 2 of them I think were 4 stars, 2 of them were 3 stars. So like, it's a happy medium, I guess. Lock Every Door, which one's this about? What's the girl's name? She's in Manhattan. I think her boyfriend, something happens with her boyfriend, they break up. I'm not trying to do too many spoilers, even though maybe that would be more helpful for me to just sputter spoilers instead of rambling over here. I needed to have like a plan of attack for this video, and I did. I just sat down and decided I was just gonna talk. That's what you're getting. Something happened to her boyfriend. She has to move out of that apartment, and then she finds an ad, I think somewhere on the newspaper interwebs, and it's apartment sitting. She goes to this very old building. What's it called? Bartholomew. Has famous people, rich people. She gets to house sit in this house, but she has like very strict rules. What were the rules? No visitors, no nights spent away from the apartment, and no disturbing the other residents, all of whom are rich or famous or both. And then things start happening. She has a hot, sexy neighbor. Could be suspicious, could not be. Maybe there's love akindle there. Rebound, who knows? You know, classic Riley Sager, because I feel like all his books have the same pattern to it. Stuff happens in the Bartholomew, and you find out why there's no visitors allowed and why she's not allowed to disturb the other residents. Oh, also, there's like an author there. Like, she's obsessed with the Bartholomew low-key since she was a kid, because there was like a book and the Bartholomew is like on the front of the cover, and it's like takes place at the Bartholomew. So she's like, oh yeah, our apartment sits at the Bartholomew. And then she finds out the author of that book is in the Bartholomew. But she's also not what she seems anyways. But 3 stars. I believe that was 8 books. Yes, 8 books for January. We're heading into February. And the first book I read in February is called Tinfoil Butterfly by Rachel E. Moulton. It's about this woman, and she's on the road running away from something. Her past, whatever happened, she's running away from it. She hitches a ride with this one man, and he's not the best. So she tries to get away from him. She leaves him for dead in the middle of the road, steals his van. Then the van breaks down, and she gets like in this abandoned town. And she meets this little boy with like a tinfoil butterfly mask on. And she's like, why is this boy here living in this diner or in this like abandoned area? And then you find out about the dad, and then all these stuff starts happening. And I thought it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. That wasn't a great explanation, but yeah, that's basically what happens. And then she's trying to figure out how to get away from this place as things start going down, you know? She's like, I need to take this van. Do you have gas? I need to get out of here. Do you want to come with me? You know, the little boy. She's trying to save the little boy. I'm going to read the synopsis. Emma is hitchhiking across the United States trying to get to the Badlands. It was the Badlands. That's her end goal, tied to like her traumatic past. But it ends. Yeah. Trying to outrun a violent, tragic past when she meets Lowell. That's the guy. Lowell? Is that how you say that name? Lowell? Lowell, the hot but dumb driver she hopes will take her as far as the Badlands. But Lowell is not as harmless as he seems, and a vicious scuffle leaves Emma bloody and stranded in an abandoned town in Black Hills with an out-of-gas van, a loaded gun, and a snowstorm on the way. Earl is the name of the little boy. Yeah, she comes across Earl. Earl's very endearing. I really like this book. I'd buy it too. I think this was the last Riley Sager I read for now. I'm going to read the new one I requested from my library, and the other one that I'm missing. I don't remember. Something Across the Lake. But I gave this one, this is the other 4 stars. Home Before Dark, which is about, what's her name? Maggie Holt, who grew up in this house, in this big-ass house, in this little town, but stuff goes, and she's like 5, things happen, and she doesn't remember, but her father wrote a book about it, and supposedly the house is haunted, and this book has followed her throughout her life. She hates it. She wants nothing to do with the house. Her dad dies, and then she finds out her dad still owned the house. He never got rid of it, even though they left it in the middle of the night because supposedly it was haunted. She goes back to the town. I think she makes a living off of like renovating and then like house flipping and then selling it. So she's planning on doing that so she doesn't have to do anything with the house anymore. She's like, I'm going to sell it. I don't want to see that house no more. And the whole town also hates it. So it's like they're like giving her side eye. Like, why are you doing here? Your dad wrote that book that got all this attention that they did not want. And yeah, while she's staying in the house, things start happening and she's wondering, is some of the things that my dad wrote about in that book actually real? Did it actually happen? Yeah. I actually really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a fun read. And it was, since I went into it not really knowing the synopsis, because I try to avoid it, I will read the synopsis and I'll be like, I'm interested in that book. But then I'll immediately like throw the synopsis in like the trash bin and like delete. So I go into the book not really knowing what's going to happen. I prefer it that way. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Still a female protagonist. I don't think he ever writes from a man's perspective. The next book I read in February was Shudder by Ramona Emerson. I gave this one 3 stars. It's about a woman. She sees ghosts, and her job is as a forensic photographer, so she takes pictures of like the crime scenes and whatnot. But then this one scene, this one crime, she takes photos of it. Then the ghost attaches herself to her because realizes like you can hear me, and she's like, you have to solve my murder because I did not commit suicide. And then it just takes off from there. But yeah, that was basically the gist of it. She can see ghosts, and then she just goes down this rabbit hole trying to help this ghost, who's forcing her basically to help to solve what actually happened to her. The next book is Last House on Needless Street, Catriona Ward. 4 stars. You get a perspective from, what's his name? A cat, a girl whose sister disappeared when she was a young girl, so she's like living next door trying to figure out what actually happened because the investigator kind of like, it's a cold case. There's no new evidence. Can't help you. And she's like, I'm going to solve this myself. I'm going to figure out what happened to my sister. And then she's like next door to this man who she thinks might be the perpetrator. And then everything evolves from there. This book got me. The plot twist got me real good with this one. Like, I didn't see it coming. A lot of people say they saw it coming, and like, I didn't. I really will read books and I won't put things together. Like, there was another book on this list that I've read, I'll get to it when I get to it. I also didn't see coming. It was like so obvious what the book was about, and it was so stupid. But it's because I literally didn't read the synopsis. I just picked it up and read it. But yeah, let's read a little bit of the synopsis here. A teenage girl who isn't allowed outside, not after the last time. A man who drinks alone in front of his TV, trying to ignore the gaps in his memory. And a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. An unspeakable secret binds them together, but when a new neighbor moves in next door, what is buried out among in the birch trees may come back to haunt them all. So yeah, there was a few twists and turns in this one. So it was a nice twisty little thriller. Was it a thriller? Is this categorized as a thriller? Jeez, now I'm just getting all the reviews. Where is the categories? That's what I want to know. Horror thriller. Those are the top two labels. I don't know how accurate Goodreads is, but that's what it is. 4 stars, like I said. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Grady Hendrix. I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one, except for the one scene that I felt was very unnecessary. And I wish he had chosen to do that differently, but he didn't. But I enjoyed the overall humor from the housewives. I despised the husbands. Like, when I started reading the scenes with the husbands demeaning the wives, I had to keep putting this book down. I was like, if these men do not stop. I was so mad. I was very upset. So that's why I gave this book 4 stars. Like, I was getting all emotional. All the emotions. Laughter, anger, horror, everything. But yeah, it's about these housewives. They form a book club, and it's true crime. They're reading true crime. And then this new neighbor comes in the neighborhood, and then one of the wives, which one was it? What's her name? Patricia. She becomes like neighborly with him, but then she slowly gets suspicious. So like, I think this man's a vampire. And then everything unravels from there. Fried green tomatoes and steel magnolias meet Dracula in the southern-flavored supernatural thriller set in the 90s about a women's book club that must protect its suburban community from a mysterious and handsome stranger who turns out to be a blood-sucking fiend. Patricia Campbell had always planned for a big life, but after giving up her career as a nurse to marry an ambitious doctor and become a mother, Patricia's life has never felt smaller. The days are long, her kids are ungrateful. Her kids are very ungrateful. They also made me mad. The days are long, her kids are ungrateful, her husband is distant, and her to-do list is never really done. The one thing she has to look forward to is her book club, a group of Charleston mothers united only by their love for true crime and suspenseful fiction. In these meetings, they're more likely to discuss FBI, blah, 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 blah. Patricia is initially attracted to him. This is about the new neighbor. But when some local children go missing, she starts to suspect the newcomer is involved. And what she uncovers is far more terrifying, and soon she and her book club are the only people standing between the monster they've invited into their homes and their unsuspecting community. I really enjoyed it. The next one I did was Mexican Gothic. I gave this 5 stars. Probably biased because I love Gothic. But it's about this girl who lives in Mexico. She gets notes from her cousin. Something's clearly wrong, so she goes to her cousin's new house. She married this it's a Victorian manor, so it wasn't a white man. She marries this English man, and she goes to the manor, looks very decrepit, like it's falling apart, no one's taking care of it. And then, Gothic haunted houseness ensues, though it's not really haunted. Not in like a way that you would, not like by a ghost, I would say. Kind of a ghost, not a ghost. But yeah, some of the stuff that happens in this book like really grossed me out. Like, I had a physical reaction to the descriptions. I think it was really good though. She's trying to help her cousin escape the horrors of that house. Her name is Noemi. There you go. After receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin begging for someone to save her from mysterious doom, Noemi Taboada heads to High Place, a distant house in Mexican countryside. She's not sure what she will find. Her cousin's husband, a handsome Englishman, is a stranger, and Noemi knows little about the region. Noemi is also an unlikely rescuer. She's glamorous debutante, and her chic gowns and perfect red lipstick are more suited for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. Oh, she's very headstrong, which I liked about her a lot. Love a headstrong character. Mexican Gothic. Good Gothic horror. I enjoyed it. I read an Eric LaRocca short novella because I hear a lot about him, but I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. It was We Can Never Leave This Place, which is very like fantastical kind of horror, I feel like. It's like an apocalyptic aftermath. I'm not really sure, but like everything's like there's bombs and gunfire going off outside of the apartment that this mom and her daughter are living in. Her dad is dead at the beginning. And then they keep getting these weird visitors. Like they're different creatures and critters. And they're like very huge, like not normal sized. They're like bigger than humans, I feel like, coming to their house and staying. And then weirder and more weirder things start happening. And then it was a very interesting read. I did enjoy it. I got 3 stars. Yeah, that was my first introduction to Eric LaRocca. I would still give his other things a chance. I believe I read another short story thing. I enjoyed this one more than the other short story thing, the little novella. We Can Never Leave This Place. Yeah. I think the other aspect of this was I think I'd have to reread it, actually. Maybe I should reread it. There's just some of the things that was going on I didn't really quite comprehend. But I guess that's the point, is to leave it to your imagination. Like what's going on outside of what you're reading. But yeah, very strange. A precocious young girl with an unusual imagination is sent on an odyssey into the depths of depravity. After her father dies violently, young Mara is surprised to find her mother welcoming a new guest into their home, claiming that he will protect them from the world of devastation and destruction outside their door. A grotesque and thrilling dark fantasy, We Can Never Leave This Place is a harrowing portrait of inherited grief and familiar trauma. I feel like I should reread this one. Maybe I would like it for the second time around. Because I don't know, like the description and the things that were going on was a lot, I think. 3 stars. My first 2-star, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. My Dark Vanessa is about a woman named Vanessa, and you get her in the present day for her, and then her past, which is involving her trauma with her abusive relationship with her professor in high school when she was like 15 or 16. This is a very uncomfortable read. It's not meant to be happy at all, given the topic. But I gave it 2 stars because I almost DNF'd it. Like I wasn't going to finish it. It's just like the writing style of the author wasn't for me either, but I did end up finishing this book. It's just, I couldn't. It was very uncomfortable. Like just the whole topic. Like she's starting to go to I believe it was like a private, like high school. And then her professor starts to like give her unwanted attention. It was just sad. I mean, I've read things that are sad and I like have loved it. Like not because it was sad, but because of the way the story was presented. And for this one, there wasn't something I enjoyed about it. I didn't enjoy the prose. I didn't enjoy the story. It wasn't for me. I know a lot of people have like given this like raving reviews because it's an important topic because these things do happen. The book wasn't for me. And after I read this one, I ended up reading Lolita, which also was not for me. I think it's on it coming up, but yeah, 2 stars for My Dark Vanessa. Oh, Lolita is in March, so I guess in the next video I'll be talking about that. But obviously, I think I gave that one 2 stars also. Survive the Night. Oh, it's another Riley Sager. How many Riley Sager books did I read? 3 stars. I'm thinking about giving it a 2-star. Because honestly, this was my least favorite. It's about this girl in college. Her best friend gets murdered. and she decides she can't handle it. She needs to leave college permanently, maybe, or maybe temporary. But it's like Thanksgiving week, I think, break, and she's just leaving before the break even. It's like she puts a post up in like the general like posting thing for like college, and then to find a ride, and then she gets in a ride with this random stranger she does not know a lick about. And then the whole time she thinks he's a serial killer. And then she doesn't leave the car. She just stays in the car. And there were opportunities for her to leave. And then on top of that, she like since her parents died, she started getting like these mental episodes in her head. Like reality will be superseded by these little films that aren't real. Like it'll make everything look different. And also won't be real. And then she'll come back to herself. So, and she's not taking the pills that were prescribed. So she's having those episodes while she's with this guy she thinks is a serial killer who tries to use it against her. And I was just like, why? Why did you stay in the car? Also, I would never get in a car with a stranger. I'm sorry. She had a boyfriend. I'm pretty sure he offered to take her if she would just wait till the actual break. But she was just so desperate to leave. And I'm just like, no. Her name is Charlie. Charlie Jordan is being driven across the country by a serial killer. That's the start of the synopsis on Goodreads. Maybe. Because you don't know for sure. And of course there's twisties and turnsies. That's that. 3 stars. Maybe I might demote it to 2 stars. The more I think about it. And it might be a 2-star. Then I read The Night Circus, which I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a slow start. It's about these 2 individuals who are named, what are your names? Celia and Marco, who as kids get marked and branded to be a part of this like tournament kind of thing. Like they haven't even met each other, but they know that they're trying to beat each other at this like magical tournament kind of thing, competition, which takes place in a circus environment called Le Cirque de Rêves. Probably said that wrong because I'm not French. But yeah, enjoyed the romance because a romance does spark. Though I thought it was a little like random because like it just starts in the middle of the book. I mean, there's other romance in there, but it's like the one between the 2 main characters starts in like the middle of the book, which was like, okay, why couldn't it start sooner? But yeah, they didn't meet. That's probably why. But yeah, they're like creating these different remarkable, magical shows and like attractions for the circus, trying to outdo each other. But then you find out the only way the competition can end is not like great. Is that a spoiler? The circus arrives without warning. No announcement precedes it. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. Within the black and white striped canvas tents is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It is called Le Cirque de Rêves, and it is only open at night. But behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway, a duel between 2 young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their mercurial instructors. Unbeknownst to them, this is a game in which only one can be left standing. There you go. It was in there. Only one can be left standing. But I enjoyed Aaron Morgenstern's descriptions. They were very fun. Like, very fun to read. Like, just imagining all the things actually being in front of you. Sounds amazing. And I really enjoyed this book. 4 stars, 4 stars. And the last book, I believe, which gets me at 11 books for the month of February, is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. 5 stars, y'all. It is a friends to enemy book. I think maybe one of the first ones I've read, because I haven't been reading consistently for a while. So this year I'm catching up on all the years that I have not been reading a lot. Not that I stopped reading completely. I'm always reading, but yeah, 5 stars. Friends to enemy, Eli and Victor. They're in college. They're doing like their research project for their college. And Eli decides to do it on EOs, extraordinaries, people with the superpowers per se, And then they try to do experimentation to see if they can give themselves powers. Like, you basically have to die and then come back to life. But then, you know, something goes horribly wrong. Eli tries, basically backstabs Victor. They become enemies. Then you get like the future and the past, because it's like 10 years in the future what's happening, because Victor is now trying to go after Eli. And then things just keep unraveling from there, and I really enjoyed this book. It was so fun to read. I had a lot of fun. It's like a superhero, but like super villainy book. I don't know. Vigilante versus villain. Villain versus vigilante. Villainesque. Kind of vigilante-esque book. I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That was a fun read. And that was the books I read for January and February. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye.